Good evening and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans. Think show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find him and herself in America in the bottom of a ship. I'm your host, the indigenous one. In honoring your mother and father, you really honor yourself because your mother and father open up the gates for you, not just your mother and father, but your grandmother, grandfather, friends, family, everybody that was used to make you up. So in honoring your mother and father, you by default honor yourself. And when you don't honor your mother and father, you damn sure don't honor yourself. So that's just my little piece. I'm gonna go ahead and let the Akama godmama come and talk to y'all about it. Lisa.
Kayuk, everyone. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, chat. If you got anybody in the chat, I hadn't really looked yet, but
Copper Color Lifestyles in the house.
yay, Copper Color Lifestyle. Always.
Paul McGlory's in the house.
You've got the best chat in the business, that's for sure. I can tell you that. They're the most intelligent people. They're the wisest people because they're on your show. There's no other people. No one else is delivering quality. No one else is giving people information they can actually use. No one else is keeping it 100. No one else except Carrie Davis. That's it. That's the place you got to be at. The indigenous one. If you're not watching this, then you're just in it for the entertainment and you're not about anything. Okay, that's the real.
Well, none of it happens without your assistance.
Oh well, I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. So
get one, baby.
Oh man. So anyway, I was really feeling some kind of way today because I don't like to talk about health business, especially with the vax and the virus, because first of all, I have very strong opinions. I'm a nurse and I've worked COVID for these past 2 years, and I didn't want to really put myself into any jeopardy, to tell you the truth, as far as talking about it, to be honest. And I feel really bad about it now because I've talked about it by like sending out videos from other people, and I think it's created this perception in my family that I'm watching videos. I don't watch the videos. People send, how people send the videos around. I really don't watch them. I just send it to them because I figured you're not going to listen to me. Maybe you'll listen to them. But I never took the time to actually explain why I believe what I believe, because a lot of people have politicized this to like a Bush, like a Biden versus Trump thing. They've done all kinds of things to give this whole agenda legs, and a part of it's the political aspect of it. So what I wanted to do with you guys is kind of like, if you could help me help my family, help me, and also while we're helping my family, we could help each other, maybe help each other's family, because I'm really, really upset. I don't want anyone to take any more of this toxin. I don't want the babies, especially the babies, to have it, And I find that people today, I don't know what's happened, but I want to talk about the fact that this is what I think is one problem, is that honoring thy father and thy mother, that somehow we've lost our way as far as that has gone. And this is what I mean by that. I know people don't have the best parents or whatever, but like Carrie said, it could be your grandparents, it could be your uncle, whoever is your father or mother figure. You may not have a father figure or a mother figure, but you may have that figure in your life, that person that you respect. That's the ones we honor, right? We honor those ones that come before us that we do feel some kind of thing about, some who has been some kind of major influence, whether directly or indirectly, in our lives. And what I want to talk about is what has happened to that, first of all, because I feel like, it doesn't exist. And I know that there's a real reason for it, but it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist the way it used to. And it's because we've changed. and it's happened in a very short time. So let's just go roll with that. So I want to say, like, what does it mean to you today? Like, like if you literally look at it, the quote says, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee." Exodus 20:12. Now, does that mean you wanna have a long life? You gotta do this, or does it mean that you'll be cut short if you don't do right, or or does it mean if you really are good to your parents, days will be added to your life literally? Well, it doesn't make sense to me, but really, maybe it means that when you honor those people, that you learn from what they have done, like via their wisdom, their example, their advice, and therefore, as a result, their wise insights can in turn extend your life. How about that? Well, I have I have a lot of family. If you could go to the wisdom, to the next one. What did he say? I guess got my 70-year-old mother down here, and for her, and have her hear the drop. Okay, that's cool. On the Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Thank you, Paul. That's cool. So the wisdom is like a major thing. Like my parents, my grandparents, great grandparents, my chief that we all come from. Wisdom is like, wow. And this is what I believe. I believe that this the people for the past 20 years may not have come in contact with wisdom. And I don't mean any harm, but I really feel like the wisdom generation, the last wisdom generation, was from 1900, generations, I should say, were from 1900 to 1930s. And I say this because in the 1940s, education changed and exposure changed and indoctrination changed. See, because of that, in the 1940s and 50s, even though it wasn't, you know, integration wasn't, whatever said to have happened, a lot of people just by migration experienced integration. So with that integration or pseudo integration that occurred for that generation, okay, you have to understand that the people that were born in 1940s, they went to school in the 1950s, whatever. They experienced a modified, like a pseudo integration, either just the way the people were teaching, or the way, or even by migration, through via migration. But that generation was the first generation, in my opinion, that were indoctrinated. You see, prior to that, we were taught by us, for us. We gave each other, pride in ourselves, and we saw each other win. We saw we dealt with only our businesses by our people. That's the businesses we went to. Those are the products we brought. But that generation that was born in 1940s, especially the latter part of that, they saw a whole different thing. They saw, um, they had a different world. They were indoctrinated to value what they couldn't have. They were indoctrinated to value, to believe that they were less than. They were indoctrinated to, because we weren't teaching each other that we were slaves. Believe that. Believe that. Because then your grandma and granddad didn't even say that. Your grandma and granddad didn't tell you that. But in school, that's the first thing they started telling these folks when they became into these desegregated or quasi desegregated worlds, right? So this wisdom that we had, where people just was, I just can't even tell you about how these people were. Because if you haven't experienced these people, especially when they were in their prime, and they just was so cool, and they did such smart things. They made the right moves. They were fearless. They were fearless people. They weren't scared. First of all, we had people that were not afraid to move and change and take chances, even though they didn't have no job, no place to stay. They did that. But then also you got to understand the bravery of the people who stayed down south, the people who stayed in those little towns. They had the guts to stay there because their land was there and their roots were there, and this was their homeland, and they was gonna make it work. That's another kind of bravery. That was another kind of toughness. That was another kind of daggone fearlessness that is in those people. Okay, they had to they had to fight through it. They had to fight through all the stuff that was going on. And they dealt with a whole lot, the ones that stayed in those southern towns and are there to this day. That's another type of wisdom. And that's another type of strength. So and they would we would work together when we had this wisdom. We used to care about each other. We used, even though we had, and let me tell you, these people didn't have great parents. These people, dysfunction, injuries, hurt, that all happened. Trauma, molestation, that happened in our families. I'm not saying we were perfect. We were not perfect, but we told each other to brush yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep going. We made each other strong, right? And we made each other keep going. And that itself is amazing. Like Carrie told you about people in his family. I got people in my family that been through a lot, but they kept on ticking. And now everybody acts like they having a breakdown over the slightest of things. People can't handle nothing. I don't mean no harm, but I'm sorry. In comparison, it's not the same as those generations.
I
It's
don't.
just not.
I
What
don't.
you got to say about that, Carrie?
I don't think you should have to apologize for that.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because it's like, look, we all, if we all take a just a cursory look at the world today, none
Right.
of us like what we see.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Let's fix it.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And we don't like to talk about that. No, the game coming on tonight. I gotta go to church. We always come up with some old bullshit to not make nothing happen, proving that we're not paying attention to the wisdom
Right.
because they figured it out, like you said.
Yeah. They had it together and they kept it together. And if you move down, could you go down another couple of wisdom slides? What's that one? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you see, like, we were always getting together. We was always supporting each other. And one of the women in that picture is not an old picture. She's actually 103 now, and she's still driving. Miss Ellen Jordan. These are people who endure. Most of the people in that picture, except for her, have passed on. But we knew how to have a good time. We made a good time out of everything. We supported each other. We made sure that we was winning together. You know, we
The-
made sure everybody's right. Go ahead.
which one is that?
The one is the third picture with the woman standing up. That that's like a few years ago, but she's still alive and she's 103 and she's still driving. That's Miss Ellen Jordan.
Oh, see, that's what
She's
I'm talking about. That's what I'm
right.
talking about.
That's right. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we were made of this kind of stuff. These strong people, these enduring people. These people that really, we knew each other's flaws. We talked about each other. Yeah, so and so mean as hell. This one's like that. That one's like this. But but you best not do nothing to them, and you better not talk about them, and you better not think about it. And push come to shove, they supported each other. They helped each other get what each other needed. And even if it doesn't matter. We're gonna help each other. You know what I mean? That selflessness has turned to selfishness.
You right about that. Next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, so these people are amazing. Like, okay, so, we have a history of people who are educated in our communities, and like I said, and being educated in your communities by your people, it enhances trust and a belief in each other. It makes you prouder, and it also makes you self-reliant people. It makes you, it doesn't, it, you know, when we became these people that would thought everything the colonialists did was better, that's what divided us. We did we really, sometimes I'm thinking, did we actually, because you know, did we actually fight for integration, or was it a bunch of political um bunch of political black Europeans who was trying to promote this whole idea? Was integration really a mechanism to destroy us, to break us down?
That is a yes.
Because I mean, although no one likes to be barred from entering any place and being told get the hell out or whatever, our things, our cities, our businesses, our clothes, our style, our cars were enviable. Why there's a movie out on Netflix now called Passing, right? I don't know if y'all seen it, just came out on Netflix. And you know, the lifestyle in Harlem was enviable. Like people want, the white folks wanted to come and party with us. Why? Because first of all, we can party. Second of all, our stuff was fly. Third of all, our music, we are fly. Our clothes are fly. Our music's fly. Our food's fly. Everything's fly. Why wouldn't you want to come party with us? We had beautiful brownstones. We were living the life, and it wasn't just Harlem. That lifestyle was replicated many times over in this country since, you know, before the 1500s. We've had beautiful places to live, enviable lifestyles, always.
Yeah, man, that integration, that shit didn't work.
Because if you are really a evil person, you see how well we do when we work together, you'd want to break it. You'd want to find a way that you can break us from admiring what we have and working together to build what we're able to build, and make us think your stuff's the greatest, and make you feel less than, but more importantly, make your children believe they're less than. You see, but because what you can see, especially in that movie, the little kids are very smart, and he hated the stuff that was going on in the country. They were getting news of lynches, and maybe that was all pushed in their faces to make them also feel some kind of way. You know, exaggeration of the amount of lynching going on to make the Negro feel, you know, some kind of way. Propaganda has been a tool since the beginning. Understand that.
So let me ask you something. Is that what critical race theory is? Not teaching that stuff now? Is that what it is?
I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I really understand what that is about. All I can tell you is that obviously they never want the truth taught,
Right.
and they are trying to avoid the truth coming out now. That at all costs, they are trying to to keep us from learning the truth and understanding the truth, clearly agreeing that they have lied to us on so many different levels, and they are trying to get that to prevent that from ever being taught. That's what this is about. But integration was, to me, was really about breaking the Negro children, and feeding them a diet of less than and can't do, and stopping them from achieving before they get to achieve, in my estimation. All right, okay, cool. That's my parental wisdom. And I want to say this about my parents, and this is kind of really directed kind of to my, you know, cousins and people, and nieces and nephews and children, my very own kids, because my mother and father, they were not they were not down for the okey doke. They didn't let people tell them anything. My mom was the type of person that, I mean, she had her own way of looking at the world. She didn't just look at things and whatever they told her, she believed it. And what I feel like is that right now in history, the past 20 years, it's like we have changed. Things that would, if this stuff with the COVID and the locking you down and having you wear diapers on your face, That wouldn't happen in the 90s. That wouldn't have flown in the 90s. It wouldn't have flown in the early 2000s. We have lost it. And I really feel like it might be because the people who grew up 20 years ago were only like maybe 20, 25 to 10 years old. So they really didn't get a really good experience of that masterful generation. The generation that said, oh, I'm going to do it my way. Like Sinatra, the Sinatra generation. I'll do it my way, right? Because the generation that followed, they seem to have been indoctrinated. So a lot of people that got that indoctrinated generation for parents didn't get that whole, no, I'm doing it my way. You're not going to tell me what to do. Experience of their people. They lost that wisdom. My mother was the type of person that she saw. See, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my mother was. She really was. She didn't believe anything. When she had a cardiac, she had heart problems, and they wanted her to get a cardiac cath to get it evaluated. Now at the time, I was an open heart surgery nurse in the ICU, and she didn't want to go. She was refusing. Right, my sister had to promise that they could go to Fuddruckers for a burger afterwards for her to go to. It was just crazy. My mom wouldn't do it. My mom said they're just experimenting. They don't know what they're doing. That's what she told me. And to be perfectly honest, and I told her at this time, I said, well, you're kind of right. Because at that point, I guess it was like in the 90s, whatever, early 2000s. We didn't know what we were, no, it wasn't the early, it was the 90s. It was like 90 something, 93, 94. We didn't know what we were doing. We really didn't. We didn't understand the heart to the level that we understand it now then. We didn't the outcomes weren't as great as they are now, or at least well, I don't know if they're that great anymore because we got such dumb doctors out there now and dumb nurses. So the outcomes might be, yeah, actually far worse now. But anyway, I transgressed. But basically, at the time she was right, and I was like, you know what, yeah, you're right, mom, but you taking a chance just walking around with your ticket being in trouble is more dangerous than you take going through this. I'm telling you, there are big outcomes, true, and we don't know fully what we're doing. I said, but actually the good is better than the bad. And she went and had it done and all this, and then she said stuff like, she said something really weird to me, like, and I thought it was really weird at the time. She says, well, I don't understand why people are having all these heart problems to begin with. We used to eat pork and eat the chickens, and we never had this heart problems like people are having now, and people didn't have all these problems and seem like they just giving you pills to give you problems. Why don't they just give you a cod liver oil? And I was like, at the time I said, well, you tripping, mom. And then, like 2 years after she died like 10 years after that, like in 2002. And so 2 years after she died, next thing you know, they done discovered, or they done realized in science, that the omega fatty acids within cod liver oil is extremely helpful for your heart. So I'm going to work and I'm giving out cod liver oil to my patients. And every time I would grab the cod liver oil to give to a patient, I think about my mother and say, doggone, what in the world?
So that's the wisdom that she gave.
She gave she The thing about it is, being full of wisdom, just that logic, just that kind of thinking where you're not caught up in what people tell you. You use that inner knowledge within. That's what they have today. It seems like we wait for everybody to project some information onto us. We want to see it projected, and we believe whatever we see. What is that about? So the next thing is, did indoctrination kill the wisdom? Is the wisdom lost? Where on earth did it go? And how did it go? Because You know, it used to be a thing. I don't even think, you know what's really sad now? I don't even think people today even look towards older people as being wise. They don't look towards their parents as being wise.
Right.
They may not even look towards their grandparents as being wise. It's partially because of, you know, they think they know everything, because everything, there's so much information. But I think it's also because it's just that everybody is so, they don't, their mindset is so flat. Everybody thinks what they're told to think. Yeah, go back to the other one. What's the other one? Yeah, yeah.
This one?
Yeah, that's, yeah. Yeah, let's do that one. That's fine. That's, yeah, let's do that one. So like, because I didn't talk about that. Yeah, so honoring your, see, that's an interesting picture, because you know that's how they used to get down. They get together every weekend, tons of cousins. Half my, you know, my aunt and uncle in the middle, the one that was on Carrie's show before. Those two in the middle are the ones that was on your show, Carrie, on the couch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's Uncle Wilson, and that's Aunt Simi, right? So that's how, you know, they used to hang. They get, you know, they be sitting there having, yeah, mom cooked all this food, and they have some drinks later. They sit in the living room where we couldn't go in, right? And then, you know, we'd be downstairs or outside or whatever playing, you know, and that's how it was. You know, I mean, we always got together. They enjoyed each other. They had people that was their family, that they trusted, that they vibe with, you know, that they were there for each other. If something happens, even financially, they were there for each other. That's what we did, man.
November 1972.
72, boo.
Y'all don't know nothing about that.
Hey, that was around this time of year in 1972. Now think about that for a minute. Just let your self marinate on that.
50 years ago.
Man, y'all, just think about that. Yes, but that's what it is. I mean, you know, we had that kind of, you know, family wisdom, and we honored these people. These people, my aunt Liz, I mean, you know, she just lit up the room. My uncle Bill, he looked like Shaft. You know, I mean, he looked like yeah, he looked like Shaft. No, that's Shaft. What's the other one? Richard, what's the Richard Roundtree one? That's Shaft, right? Yeah, Shaft. He looked like Shaft. So I mean, you know, that's what we did. We got together and we were there, you know. We have to make sure that we try to get that back, because now we're all separate. We all live in these nice little exclusive places, nice apartments, nice houses. We all, you know, can live next to whoever we want to and all that. And we've lost each other. We don't even have time for each other. We probably have more time than individuals have had in the history of time, but yet we feel like we have no time because we're so caught up with media and TikToking and all this, and hours go with us doing bull crap when we actually could be saying, you know what, I'm gonna make it so every day going, you know, Sunday, you know, we get together, or you know, every other Sunday, or one Sunday every 2 months, or one Sunday every quarter. You know, we that live in the area get together. You know, we should be doing things like that, because collectively we have wisdom if we if we don't individually. We have collective wisdom. Even if as individuals we're not as strong as we used to be, as far as the wisdom thing, we're getting better. Because especially the people in this chat, they are wise. They have figured things out. They are correcting their direction. They are correcting their individual genealogy. They're correcting their status. So these people are the wise people, and you deserve to have the respect for that, because not so few are. Okay. Yeah. Oh God, Leroy, that's right. Get it back. Okay, so let's go back to the one we just were on. That one that said, what was the one that said indoctrination or something like that. I guess it was. For, yeah. Did indoctrination kill the wisdom? That was the one. Yes. So did it kill the wisdom? Because you know, we got news in the past. We would read the newspapers, right? Because there wasn't very much television for them. especially. And even when I was a kid, there was news, but it was like people weren't constantly having media in their faces telling them stuff. So in the past, we would read and we analyze and research, but now we got movies. Like the news is like movie videos. Like the news is like a movie. Half the time we don't know if the images are real or not. And we generally believe that they're real, when really we should question most of the things they show us on the news, because they are more, because they control it so much, and we know they do not have an honest agenda right now. So in any time in history that we should not believe what we see, we should definitely not believe what we see now. But unfortunately, most of our family today believe what they see on the news, and they believe what they hear, and they don't research. Right now, all we do is watch, believe, and repeat. Watch, believe, and repeat.
One more time.
We watch, we believe, and we repeat. And we share this stuff with other people as if it's a fact, without even going through any type of Google, not hitting a finger, not doing anything to actually fact check what we are repeating and what we are believing. It's a sad state, man.
And so we just turn our back on all that wisdom.
We turn our back on all that wisdom, and we don't even embrace or even try to obtain or have any wisdom ourselves. We are allowing ourselves to be like forever children, and allowing the big daddy what is it, Uncle Sam, to be our father and tell us what to do. The politicians, the media are our gods. They direct us. We look for them for all answers. We look for them for all direction. And if they tell us to do it, we act like it's a direct order. No matter what our rights, we don't even know the Constitution, nor do we hold anyone to it. At least not ourselves. Indoctrination is the wisdom killer. It kills the wisdom. So because we have all the generations that are alive now, pretty much are all the indoctrinated people. We have some 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds who are not, but they're cute, and half of us don't talk to them and get the wisdom from them that they have. So basically, we're just being driven by indoctrinated peoples, and people with agendas to keep us confused. And it's all destroying any wisdom in this generation. So we have education, which is a major killer, a major force in indoctrination. And politics has been infused into the educational system, right? So educational systems have been politicized, considered liberal, right? They force certain agendas. So everything has some kind of political bend. The news has a political bend. They have two-party politics news to try to keep everybody split up and keep everybody confused and at each other's throats. So can't nobody get together and realize these deceitful class people are all in it together. They're all bloodline connected, and they're all in this stuff together. And they're the same people that had you hemmed up since the daggone 1800s. The very same people are still doing it to you today. And they're controlling the media. And they're puppet mastering the politics. And then you have religion. Well, religion used to be a brother who loved the Bible and who felt like he could speak well and whatever. Now these preachers are money driven and they're politically owned. I don't care what your religion is, it's politically owned. It is politically driven to keep people divided. That's what religions do. There is not a religion you can name that is not a political daggone appendage. They all are. They are designed to keep people divided, and their foundation is politics. Their foundation is politics. I don't care what it is. Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote. But guess what? They purposely have these people not voting. But they also have these people separate from their families. Their agenda is to crush the Negro, sorry, crush the Negro in a different way. They keep their families separate. They keep them from being ambitious. They keep them from really wanting higher education. They keep the sheep docile, quiet, unassuming, and unadvancing. All these religions, no matter what they are, they have an agenda that is political. And they are all there to indoctrinate you. All of them. So we don't have wisdom because we look to our pastors to give us wisdom, to have the wisdom. We don't have wisdom because we look for our politicians to have the wisdom. We don't have wisdom because we look for our educators. I want to know, that's why they question indigenous people talking, because they feel like, oh, who are you? What's your education? Where are you getting this? All this kind of stuff. They value these people with their different labels to have the wisdom. That's what we've done. That's how we've been indoctrinated. We don't look to family. We don't look to our elders. We look to all these outside entities, and it's all a political game to keep us oppressed. What's my thing? What is my real thing behind this? I'm very sad because I'm seeing my family has been, people have no, they're, I'm sad because we seem like we're lost. We don't even see what's happening to ourselves. And I'm seeing people that have gotten the daggone COVID vaccines. I'm seeing people, and we're strong. So evidently the stuff don't work on us, or they were lucky. They lived in an era where they got one of the placebo shots. I don't know. But the thing about it is, don't take a chance with these babies. Don't you dare. Don't you dare give another flu shot or a COVID shot to your child. Ever. Don't ever. No more booster shots. Don't take it. I don't understand how a person could even think that anything that's being pushed this hard as an agenda, where they're giving money and lap dances and gift cards and incentives and trying to take away your freedom and take away your passport, anything that has this hard of agenda to it, why would you believe it, trust it? This is the other thing that I want people to understand. Why are we not seeing the number of people that a pandemic would make you think that it's a pandemic? Why don't you see in your family half of them being gone, or a third of them being gone? Why don't you see in your neighborhood half of your neighborhood's dead? Or a third of your neighborhood dead? Why don't you see in your workplace a third of your workplace has disappeared because of the COVID disease? Why don't you see it in your churches? The half of your people at church or have been gone or dead. Half or at least a third, because that's what a pandemic is. A pandemic is overwhelming. The numbers are staggering. They make you think these numbers are staggering, but you're not seeing in your life. Why? Because those numbers aren't true, y'all. Because if it was an overwhelming number, you would see it. You would feel it. It would be evident.
So why do you think it's the reason? Are we not seeing it, or are we just ignoring it? Because I notice the people I come across, I just ask them a couple of questions to have them think about what they've done, and I never hear from them again. And it's like you have to see this. Are you saying that's not from us getting that wisdom from our parents? It's like a couple of people in the chat said, the stuff your grandmama used to tell you always worked.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you know.
Right. I think that, like I said, I think that, first of all, a lot of us, didn't even get, a lot of people, even though they may have had their elders around, didn't get to be around them because we all just separated so much, and we did stop spending time together, so they didn't even get exposure when they could have, but I but all I could tell people, and I could tell people in my family, just think of the wisest person in your family and what would they do. And I can assure you they would not take this crazy experimental thing. And it is not even evident in your family that is affecting the people around you in your neighborhood, in your life. So where are these people that they say are in such high numbers that are gone? Just ask yourself that. Make it make sense. I'm telling you that the wisest people in my family would never have volunteered for an experimental drug that this daggone political people and these media people are pushing and mandating so hard. They would never go for this. Never. And I want my family to wake up and think about it. Your own mother wouldn't do this. Mommy would never have done this. Yet I got people in my family that's like, yeah, it's my choice. What? Are you crazy? It's not even a choice thing. It's like, it's a logic thing. Do we not have any wisdom, any logic anymore? It's illogical for you to expose yourself to something that they just grabbed out of a bag and said, give it to you. Okay. And it's also, let me tell you about this. It is also illogical for anybody to think that scientists can come up with a prevention before they can daggone treat something. They can't save your life and they can't treat you, but they can prevent it. Hell no. That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
So you see what can happen when you have no wisdom. And it's like she said, we come from these people. She just told you that her mother would have said, hell no. Like I said, you don't get what you would consider the wisest person in your family. You don't think of going to them and asking them, or thinking to yourself, well, what would they have done? And you know what they would have done. And it's like she's saying, we're not even paying attention to that.
So I'm gonna go over my little personal pre-virus suspicions, because my things from my feeling about this whole thing is not because I've watched videos or listen to anybody else. I'm a nurse. I have my master's in science. I've been a nurse for over 30 years. I've worked critical care all these years. I've worked all over the country, some of the best hospitals, so-called Johns Hopkins, Emory, Washington Hospital, State, Florida Hospital, all over the country. I've worked as staff, not just as somebody who's traveling, but I've been staff at Johns Hopkins, staff at Emory. I've been a staff nurse. Okay. So, I mean, that means I learned the culture. I learned how they do things. I have those standards of care. Okay. But let me go ahead and tell you what my observations were pre-COVID that made me think some shit's about to go down. People are doing some shady things. Okay. This is my observations. Okay. Are we going on that one? Yeah. Number one, by personal pre-virus observations. You got that one?
Let me find that one.
So, I mean, I think that people think that, I just want to think I don't even know what my family thinks about me and having this But people come to me. People have come to me for medical help, for help with whatever, for advice on surgeries and end of life and all kinds of stuff, feeling like they're gonna die, whatever, you know. But then with this, people got to be, it's like something about the media made people think that they were their own experts. Everybody's an expert on this daggone subject. And I don't know what that's about, that everybody now automatically thinks they're a virus expert. It's very disturbing, but I feel like that's what happened. That's what the media made people think. They lost their natural minds. I agree, girl. They have lost their natural mind. Okay, so anyway, the first thing that I saw as a red flag before COVID ever happened was and I didn't put the year, somewhere around 2005. Yes, I did. They lowered the standards of education in medical school and nursing school. Why? Why? I was like, why? I was devastated because I found this out because I took a job being a nursing instructor. Okay. My good friends was doing it. And one of their friends was like head of the nursing program at this college. And they were like, look, she needs help over there with the teachers. And I was like, for somebody to teach. And I was like, okay. Well, they said, all right, fine. The pay's fine. I was okay, cool. So I went into it. I didn't know they had dropped the standards, right? I'm noticing these people ain't doing nothing right. They don't know what they're doing. They don't seem to care. They got these in-game agendas. I'm going to be a psych nurse. I don't need to know this, blah, 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 all these different agendas. And I was like, what kind of shenanigans is going on? I would never talk and think like this. Like, what is this, right? So then I go back and I tell them, they're like, oh, well, they changed the standard, to 70. Well, when I was in nursing school, you had to have an 85 to pass. If you got less than 85, that was a failure. And if you failed twice, I think failed twice. So you failed the one time, the second time you get dropped out of the college. Period. Out of the nursing program anyway. And then in 2005 or thereabouts, they dropped the nursing standards to 70% is passing. And now it's like 70% is passing. And not only that, but they're going to keep you in that school. They ain't going to drop you out of that damn school. And they're going to keep you there and keep remediating you and remediating you until you graduate. I mean, you can keep trying forever. This girl was talking about these people be on Nurses Rock or Black Nurses Rock or something. I would try for 7 years to get my nursing degree, and I finally passed. And oh, girl, don't give up. I was like, you a dumbass. What the world? I don't want you taking care of nothing. Not my daggone dog. Not even my cockroach. I don't care. I don't want you to take care of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to touch nothing. Nothing. You are dumb. That's correct. You don't need to be doing this. Obviously, if it takes you. Okay, so that's the way it is now. That's the standard. That disturbed me. You can see how much it disturbs me. It disturbs me to this day. The other observation that I made before all this happened to make me think they up to something. Why are they dropping standards? To talking about there's a nursing shortage, there ain't no shortage. That's not the excuse. Why are they dropping the standards? Right? My second observation was my second one, yes, was in 2015 or thereabouts. They started training the pharmacists to give injections to prevent the flu. I never had a patient die from the flu. But why teach pharmacists all over America to give shots? I thought that is strange. That was a real red flag to me. So then they were saying, oh, we want to make sure that people don't get the flu. And, and I'm like thinking with all the deadly diseases that are out there, diabetes, cancer, kidney disease, why don't we change the job function of a pharmacist just because of the flu? The other thing that I knew when this all happened was that I knew that Tamiflu works for stopping the flu. And I thought, well, why are they not just giving the pharmacists Tamiflu? Why are the pharmacists just being taught or allowed to give Tamiflu over the counter? That would be great. That stops the flu. Or they could even do like a quick flu test and then give it to people. So they make sure that the person has flu and then give them that's a better way to stop the flu. That's what I thought when it happened. But since this virus has come out, I researched Tamiflu even more. Tamiflu is an antiviral. understand that during this whole epidemic, they were giving people like parasitics and stuff, all kinds of stuff, giving people daggone all these weird antiviral medications. And when Tamiflu was available, and it's an antiviral, not only. And then when I researched the Tamiflu, I realized that not only does it stop the flu, but it's a preventive. So, for example, the literature says that if you have a family member with the virus, it will keep you from catching it if you take it. What in the world? So, my third pre-virus observation was they started forcing many of my colleagues of all races, didn't matter if they're white, black, everybody, out of their jobs. The ones, the smartest, most expert nurses who have been doing it forever were being pushed out. They were not ready to retire, but they were being forced to retire. And various mechanisms, finding fault with their work, whatever they did, they pushed all the expert nurses that I work with out of their jobs in place of novices. People didn't know a doggone thing. People who had little experience, they gave them girls bonuses coming in the door. Why? Why, y'all? They was dummying down. This all is the process of dummying down healthcare. So when they do stupid stuff, ain't nobody gonna stop it. Ain't nobody gonna whistle blow because they don't know enough to blow a whistle. You feel me? Then the sixth red flag my personal observation was the more pandemic movies. All of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of pandemic movies, starting with Will Smith and all them, and then more, the Bill Gates movie. Why is he doing a movie about a pandemic? But that actually has been occurring. Actually, I think the thing that happened before that was Ebola. Ebola came in like 2015. Ebola came and it disappeared. And I had a very personal experience with Ebola because I worked in the hospital connected to the CDC, ICU. And I had colleagues who worked and took care of those Ebola patients. As a matter of fact, I was asked to do it, but I was expecting a grandson. And I said, no, I'm not going to go and expose myself to that. But it didn't matter anyway in retrospect, because those same nurses that were working, taking care of these Ebola patients would come in the next day and work with me. So I was probably exposed anyway. I have no idea. But they did wear those big suits and everything. They had like the big space suits and stuff. But anyway, Ebola came and it left. Why did it just disappear? Remember Ebola? They tracked it, right? They had people going in planes. Oh, so-and-so's in Washington State. Oh, now that guy's over here. And then the person that was in Texas, and they're over here in Dallas, and then they're over here. They were tracking the transmission of this, right? And then as soon as they realized, in my opinion, that it didn't really affect us, it affected white people very badly, Ebola disappeared. And then the other thing, the eighth thing that really was my pre-virus observation that made me feel some kind of way that something was coming up is how come Obama was talking about a pandemic or something coming, and I didn't see any increase in any lung disease or any bad pneumonias in the ICU. There was no precursor that would say, dang, these people are even sicker than ever. They're having these real bad lung problems. I didn't see nothing like that pop up. It didn't make sense to me. And then during the actual, in 2011, 2021, sorry, I did some research. I was looking at Lung Magazine, which is a medical journal. And an article reported in that lung medical journal said that lung infectious diseases have been taking a sharp and steady decline for the past 50 years. So you see, there really was nothing to support a future peak or a future rise in lung viral infections, and there was nothing to support some pandemic happening. So how in the world did the politicians know this was happening? That also makes me highly suspicious. That's before everything hit. So anyway, so then the virus hits Georgia, you know. So I'm like, and I didn't spell Wuhan right, so just forgive me. How did it get from Wuhan, China, to your state? Well, I can tell you the way it hit Georgia. The first news of how it hit Georgia was it hit Macon. There wasn't no tracking. There was no logical transmission. There wasn't no, it went from point A to point B to point C to point D. No, it just ends up appearing from Macon, Georgia to Macon, Georgia from China. Now, keep in mind, there was no international airport in Macon. There's no large Chinese population in Macon, Georgia. There's no indigenous folks traveling to China from Macon. So how did it end up, and why and how did it end up there? The Macon case was that they said the folks that got sick were attending a funeral in Macon, and after the funeral, the family members contracted the virus, and 2 or 3 died. Now I believe that. That's not in question. And even the fact that the whole family got it, because most people that I took care of, it was all, like a bunch of mostly Hispanic people got sick, but they would always be like the mother, the father, the auntie, the children. It would be a family thing, right? So that makes sense to me. And also how it transmitting in the family made sense to me, because everyone kisses grandma, even if she's coughing. They're like, oh, grandma, oh, give me a kiss on the cheek or give her a hug, you know. So that's a mechanism there. That is a real mechanism of transfer in a family. But how did it get to the family? Who and who gave it to the family? How did it get to the family? We know the people who attend funerals without fail, the elders. So we know the elders are going to be there. So that had to be an elder that got it. But how did the elder get it? Respiratory tract infections are the biggest portal of entry for viruses to enter the human body, right? According to the NCBI, NIH government website. It's a system of tools that allows for gas exchange between the body and the external environment. The mucosal surfaces of the respiratory tract translate to a very large surface within which viruses can interact. A resting human inhales about 2 gallons of air every minute, and within each breath are aerosolized droplets of particles that could contain viruses, such as from a cough or a sneeze. Now, understand me, it's a cough or a sneeze. Now, I've been saying this to my people since the beginning. You have to have a mechanism of travel. If you are healthy and you ain't coughing and sneezing, how can a healthy person transmit if they ain't sick enough to cough or sneeze? Stop it. It's not in your saliva. Saliva has acid. It kills viruses. Stop it. You have to have a cough or a sneeze. How did the elderly person get the virus from China? How did it happen? This was nowhere near, like I said, any kind of Chinese area. It was not near the airport. How did they get it? It had to be transmitted via a sick person with a cough or a sneeze. Or my hypothesis is that it had to be injected. My theory is that it was injected via the flu shot. Because mom and pops, they go to the doctor and they get that flu shot right on schedule. I actually believe the flu shot was preparing us and weakening our immunity and preparing us for this super virus to be given to us. I really believe that this flu shot was a practice for us to be taking inoculations like it's a normal thing every year. Folks took the flu shot and caught the virus and spread it via coughs and sneezes. And when the flu shot people, they ran out of flu shot people, when flu shot people recovered from the virus, from the flu shot and the virus, there was no more spreading. That's why they ran out of sick people during the course of the year, and that's why they knew there were two waves, because they know when the wave of people that got the shot. They knew the first wave would get sick at this point, and they knew the second wave was going to get sick at the second point. They knew because they inoculated people. I don't want people to get this, but I will tell you that this, if you get it, the thing that helped the most, even they don't give you any medication in the hospital. I've worked COVID for the past 2 years all over the country. They don't give you anything that really helps. And I really think that the medication that they are currently giving people are making the folks sicker. They only give one type of so-called antivirus. I don't even think it's an antiviral. I think it might make them sicker. I don't even know. But I can tell you one thing. The one thing that I have seen that does help is proning, laying on your belly. What I hadn't done, which when I looked up this article, I saw this woman just sitting in a chair proning. That's a very good idea. Like, even she should probably even have the chair higher so she's even more like flatter or lower. But yeah, that's an awesome idea to prone in a chair. That's another option for people that are home, or people that are, mobile. They can, that's a good option. I didn't even know about that, because my people are usually laid out in the ICU like the guy in the middle. So but yeah, and also the guy in the stretcher, like, that's a very good way to prone for somebody who's at home. You get your pillow stacked up, and you know uh kind of make a pillow on the side. You can look at the TV, upside down in your bed. But I had a patient that laid upside down in his hospital bed, so he could see the TV that was at the foot of the bed end. So um yeah, proning is very, very helpful. For It's the one thing that, I mean, it seriously makes a big difference. It's called postural drainage. It actually helps people a whole lot. And also, let's look at this, the supplements, like it's real. Okay, I've had a lot of people. In fact, this picture was given to somebody who currently calls me all kinds of names and stuff. But these are the supplements that I recommend for people. I did not at the time do zinc, but zinc is very powerful. As a matter of fact, for people that have taken the vaccine, I would tell you to tell your family to start taking zinc. Please start taking at least a regular dose or a double dose of zinc every day. If you have taken the vaccine, it'll help them. Okay, they need zinc to get that thing or whatever out of their system. Not it's going to get it out of the system, but will combat the damage that it can do. That vaccine that's in them, zinc. So I would add zinc to the list. If you have COVID, if you don't have COVID, if you are not sick, everybody needs probiotics. Everybody needs that for their immunity, for your health, for your general health, for your gut health, is everything. Also, everybody needs D3. Everybody needs vitamin C, zinc, and that's what I say everybody should take every day, and a good multivitamin. Take those, the zinc, the D, the C, um, every day, and the probiotic. And then echinacea is like, to me, like your anti-infective that you don't take every day. That's something you take if you feel it, like you're feeling a little sluggish, you feel like your glands are a little swollen, you feel like your throat's a little sore, then you would get up on your echinacea. Melatonin is said to actually help with your immune system too, and we were given that in the hospital at one point, but then they dropped off on doing it. Moringa, of course, is an anti-inflammatory, and we understand that all disease is a result of is actually an inflammatory process. So, high doses of moringa would definitely be important when you actually have COVID or any kind of disease or inflammatory process going on. Okay. And that's basically it. That's all I could tell you is that it's very important for you to talk to your people about not getting any more shots, no flu shots. And also understand, let them know nobody's pushing the flu shot anymore, because that really, the main purpose of that was to get you into this vaccine, right? So really, the flu shot's an afterthought for people right now. It's not even that important. Nobody's really pushing it. Everything's about that booster shot. And I think you should make sure you talk to your family and tell them not to get the booster. This is my attempt to talk to my family about them not getting the booster. I mean, I've sent emails out and stuff, and they're mad at me. But I mean,
You
I
know, they're
gotta
not
do.
mad. Listen, they're
No,
not
they
mad.
are. They are really. But
Listen,
but you gotta. I have to do it. I have to do what I could do. I gotta do something, because let me tell you, they're gonna keep boostering you until they get it right. They're gonna keep boostering you until they get it right, because they can't kill the Negro like they want to. The main people that I saw that was getting this are the Hispanics everywhere I went. And let me tell you, they are not treating people in the hospital. They are actually allowing people to die. They're not helping people. The hospitals are filled with novices. They don't even know when something's not being right. They don't even know. They don't even know what we used to do to help pneumonia patients. They don't know. They can't tell you what we used to do in 2019. They haven't a clue.
well, you gave it, and
Yeah,
and you just explained, and I like how you open it up when you explain. You are your mother and father, your grandmother, your great grandfather. You walk through all of that, and
right.
you're probably gonna walk through it again.
Well,
So while you here this time, do the right thing. It's just that simple.
mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. You're going to replace your mother and father. The babies being born today are going to replace their grandmothers and father. We on a loop, y'all.
Right.
Damn.
We're on a loop, but we gotta do something to get ourselves back in the right track. We really do. And
No.
it's up to us. It's up to us. You can't. There's nobody you can look to except yourself. There's nobody.
Right.
Just
Like
it's just you. You know.
that's all. That's all I'm
And and,
saying.
and, and we're not. I'm not trying to say these people are. That fat people and stuff are stupid. This is a influential time where they're using a lot of mechanisms to get at your mind, and a lot of things to weaken your mind as well. We're full of estrogen. We're full of all these other chemicals that got us just not right. People are numb,
Yeah.
and we need to try to protect these people that have been impaired. They seem to be impaired.
Give it to them straight with no chaser. That's how I say do it. Because every time a Negro normally speak, he normally lies, and it brings on confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying like this, you got to give it to them straight. It ain't no playtime. A lot of people like to be babied and all that stuff. Like you say, we passed that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I want to thank you because I honor my mother and father. So I'm with you on that tip. So
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody in the audience want to say good night. I want to say good night too. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. I appreciate you giving me this platform to let it out. And hopefully it will reach some folks in my family. And if not, some folks in y'all's family, and some folks and everybody at some other families, and just share it, because we just want to keep people from being subjecting themselves to this toxin. It's got to stop.
It's got to stop, y'all. And like we said before, you are your ancestors.
You got some smart people in you.
Right.
You got some brilliant people in you, and very wise. Summons them.
Summons them. Get that wisdom, y'all. We'll see you Friday night.
Good night.
If not before then. You guys have a good night. Peace.
Thank you.